Hello everybody, welcome to this week's installment of DappRadar Meets. I hope you're all doing well out there and having a great week. I'm bringing the show to you on the Tuesday this week as we've got a national holiday where I'm based tomorrow. So thanks for joining in, guys. We did send out an email, but yeah, man, if you know anyone who should be here, go and grab them. We usually do this show on a Wednesday. So today, I've got Vladimir from Blockchain Cuties here with us. So I'm just going to do a quick sound check. What's up, Vlad? Are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Thanks for having me.
All good, man. So, Vlad, I've just got to run through some admin bits and bobs, and then I'll come back to you, and then we'll kick this whole thing off, man. Give me a couple of minutes, and I'll come back, all right?
Okay, sure. Let's do it.
Thanks, man. So, as always, we record the sessions for people to catch up later. So, if you missed any of the other AMAs or any of the other shows from Wednesdays or Thursdays, head on over to YouTube, and you can catch all of the content there, plus loads and loads of educational and analytical videos to help you along your DApp journey. So what's been going on this week at DappRadar? Like I say, we usually do the show on a Wednesday, so I've got a whole bunch of juice to fill you in on, but it's Tuesday, and we've still got a whole bunch of juice. So we kicked off the week with a record sale of the Alien CryptoPunk for 23.5 million. It actually happened over the weekend, but it kind of set the tone for the week. What else has happened? I just saw an announcement today that BSC, Binance Smart Chain, and Binance Chain are actually becoming BNB Chain. Not sure what difference that will really make, but a pretty cool announcement nonetheless. And this week we've released our blockchain gaming report in association with the BGA. So just give you some headline figures. Game dApps are accounting for 52% of the dApp industry's activity right now. And along with the 1 billion that's been invested in blockchain games in January, it's looking bullish for 2022 regarding games. DeFi Kingdoms really stepped out. It generated over 1.6 billion in transactions in January, just in January. And that's more than Axie Infinity. And the game itself holds almost 800 million, or in another way to put it, 60% of the total value locked on the Harmony blockchain, which is pretty crazy to think that a game, inverted commas, DeFi, GameFi, is holding that much value on the chain. What else has been going on? Alpaca launched on Phantom. So those of you who were around 2 weeks ago for the Alpaca Finance AMA may remember they said they were launching on Phantom. Well, they did. So you can go and check that out. There's some good farms and liquidity pools open now. We've just written an article about that, so you can go and check it out. So we integrated Phantom last week, and this week we have integrated the Shiden network, which takes the number of dApps we're tracking to more than 9,600. We're nearly near that 10K number. I think personally that just shows like where we've gone as an industry since I started working in dApps. I think when I joined DappRadar, we were about 3,000 dApps. We've tripled it in under 2 years. So it shows what's happening in the industry and what's happening in Web3 overall, I think, and the wider community. And we want to support them alongside Oasis. Go to DappRadar, click on the article about the accelerator, and you can fill in a form. Whether you've already developed a dApp, whether you are developing, it's open for you, okay? You can port across. There are other options available. So all developers, whoever's listening, go and have a read. Very interesting stuff. So, Vlad, sorry. Without further ado, let's get to the matter at hand. So, P collection, Blockchain Cuties. So what's up, Vlad? How you doing today, man? It's been a minute since I was 17. Blockchain Cuties is a collectible crypto game with adventures where you can get to play with puppies, lizards, bear cubs, cats, and other real and fantasy creatures. Each cutie is unique and 100% belongs to the owner through NFTs. You can collect them, breed them, test their skills in battle, arm them, and even level them up. Okay, Vlad. So amidst all the hype right now surrounding NFTs, let's jump into the elevator pitch, is what I call it. So you're trapped with me for about a minute, and I'm really interested in everything NFT right now. Hit me with your best pitch for Blockchain Cuties.
Well, it's going to be pretty hard if I only have a minute, because we are different from majority of the games there, and we are different in terms that we encountered a lot of spirits of our own mistakes during 2019, and we understood the hard way that it is the most important thing to create a sustainable economy. And our economy was destroyed 2 times, item economy, and I think we are the only game on the market that happened to be able to resurrect it. So right now, economy is up and running, and we've created new type of seasonal economy within blockchain games, and we are making it stronger like every 3 months. So right now, Blockchain Cuties universe is about the most sustainable economy in perspective, in math, being laid out for the future years. So it's good already, and we plan to make it better and better this year, next year, so that it would be able to survive and scale up no matter how many users come into the play and no matter how many people decide to leave the game. So this is something that we're doing, and we're doing it on 6 chains, and we try to create adjacent markets that communicate with each other, and it's a pretty hard task. So I think nobody else is doing it at the moment.
That's a brilliant pitch. I'm pretty much in. Let's talk some more. So I think one of the things I really need to kind of kick off with is acknowledging the fact that you guys have been in this game a while, and that your NFT collection launched some 3 and a bit years ago now. So for me, that's OG status, but it explains what you said at the beginning. Your economy has been broken. Do you want to talk about this just a bit? Let's not drivel on about
the
side of it, but let's talk about the lessons you've learned whilst being in this game for such an extended amount of time. You've been doing this when people weren't even thinking about it. So I think people will be really happy to hear from you, man, about what did you experience? Ups, downs, sideways. Get us, man.
Well, it all started with Sideways when we launched, because we actually started developing the game in 2017 and launched in late April 2018. And if you remember, like a month after, both Google, Twitter, even Facebook, they banned crypto ads. So before that, the go-to-market strategy was the usual one during the ICO era. So you do like user acquisition with Facebook, then do retention ads with Google, and you get a pretty big audience. And that was out of the table back then. So we decided to look at it and try to find a strategy which would work in a... And by the way, the bear market was like getting huge traction back then. So everything was sort of bad. So we decided to try out a different approach that nobody else was competing with us on the market. We decided to go multi-blockchain. At that time, only EOS appeared. It was the second blockchain that supported smart contracts like for retail use. And we decided to make an EOS version. We started developing it during summer, and we're able to release it, if I recall correctly, in November same year. So when we released EOS, we didn't know that it's going to be pretty hard to address their communities, because they were the first to implement this block producer thing. They had 21 of them, and each nurtured their own community, and you couldn't like address everyone playing on EOS. You had to sort of go to each block producer, try to negotiate with him, try to get some traction. It didn't go very well for us. And then we decided to try it another time, and at the time Tron was doing the same thing. They launched their smart contracts, and here, despite the fact that they had 27 super representatives, they had more centralized community. And Tron team supported us, Justin Sun helped us to gain more users, and it was a huge success. We basically skyrocketed and got a lot of audience back then from Tron. And we saw that this thing works, and we need to basically capitalize on it. So the next year we released Neo version, then released on Matic, which is now Polygon, and just a few months ago we released on Hiko, which is an EVM compatible blockchain. And we were able to restructure our internal server layer and all the services that we have, like third party created, to be able to onboard on EVM based blockchains, like technically within 3 days right now. So I think there are going to be more EVM based blockchains this year, maybe Binance, maybe Scale, maybe something else. I'm not ready to disclose which is going to be next, but this is where we're going. But in terms of another issue that we encountered is that the more blockchains we onboard, the more things we need to support. And if we want to make it like consistent, so each blockchain has the same functionality, we need to put a lot of development power into it, especially if something goes south, like if there are bugs. So we became slower as a team. And thus, we had to spend more time refactoring the code so that it would be like easier to sustain than we had to like back in 2018 when we were one of the fastest team on the market. But about the markets itself, so the game has two different markets. One is for NFTs, those are blockchain cuties, and the other one is for items. And items are not blockchain entities, they are server entities, but they transact through the blockchain. And this fact alone allows us to create a multi-blockchain trade where, for example, you play on, I don't know, Neo, and you gathered some very rare items, and you see that nobody is willing to buy them on Neo market. Like there are very few players, for example, that are interested in those. But there is a demand on Matic market. So you can just attach a Matic wallet and sell those items on Matic, and you will receive Matic, and then you can exchange it to Neo if you wish so. So that created a lot of like level 2 arbitrage opportunities. And we're also capitalizing on that up to a point where we decided that the biggest issue for our players is that there are different fees, different blockchains, and you need to attach different wallets in order to basically be able to trade everywhere. So we decided to replicate sort of blockchain as a server program. It has a lot of like restrictions, a lot of saving points, so you can't directly input anything into database. So basically it's our in-house blockchain, which manages our off-chain currency. And what we have right now, it's not rolled out on any blockchain, but it's available to some already, is that you can basically deposit currency, say, I don't know, Matic, and play with players who play on Tron, on Neo, and participate in the tournaments, for example. And if they pay in their currency, but they've also deposited to our off-chain system, then you don't have to attach any wallets. It's sort of virtual. But if you wish to withdraw it, then you need to attach a wallet. And in the future, all the currencies will be convertible to the currency that you like. For example, if you won a tournament and you got paid like in Tron, in Neo, in Matic, and you play on Ethereum, you will be able to basically convert it to Ethereum and withdraw Ethereum. So that's going to be sort of comfortable for players. Nice. And and the thing that got broken is item market. So cutie market is okay. It was okay all the time, but because in blockchain games there are two types of economies, the main ones, the zero-sum game and the time-based economy, and of course there are sort of hybrid modes of that. We decided to go mostly to time-based economy because it is easier to onboard users this way. You don't have to pay at the very beginning. But as you know, people from different countries value time differently. So if you have somebody playing from like downtown London and somebody playing from Bangladesh, probably people from Bangladesh would love to spend their time for like less money. And if you have like an international community, then the cheapest seller always brings down the market. So the floor price is always dropping. And if you can translate time into money, then this kind of economies always attract people who know how to write bots, who basically completely destroy the value of time and just try to bot their way out and sell it on the market as cheap as possible. So we had this happening to us back in 2019 twice. We were able to solve it, but it hit our economy in a big, meaningful way. And it took us almost a year to recover from that. And I think we're the only game on the market that took such hit and didn't go off the market. Because if you remember when we all started, like in the beginning of 2018, there were like literally, I think, 2,000-3,000 different companies doing crypto games, dApps, and like only 4 or 5 survived. Us being one of them. So like we're basically dinosaurs in that regard that survived the comet.
I think it's really cool though, because you guys have withstood the test of time over what's been happening. So and you didn't have anybody to learn your lessons from as such. Like you say, it was early, so there wasn't so many case studies for you to look at. You guys actually laid out the foundations for arguably many different projects to come and build on top of, really.
We actually were the first company that tried the modular smart contract approach. If you remember, CryptoKitties, when they were released, they only had like immutable smart contracts, and that was the reason why they didn't do any big updates for almost a year. And we allowed a scheme where you have like core smart contract, which is allowed to be attached to different new smart contracts. And there is a rule written that each new smart contract can override specific values. If you manage to make a mistake somewhere, you always have a chance to redeem it during the next append of a new smart contract. And now it's basically industry standard.
You guys were basically trailblazers at this point, and I keep kind of bringing it back to that because I really want to emphasize that the reason we're talking about this stuff is because you guys had to do this for other people to learn. And I think it's really like, I remember that moment in time in 2018. I think it was in February. I had literally just started working in blockchain in marketing, and all of those things happened that you said. Facebook shut down ads, Twitter shut down ads. You couldn't even use the word crypto or blockchain. So, and I just want to, there was no, you guys didn't have a heads up on any of this because we didn't. I'm imagining you didn't. You just had to react, right? All of a sudden, your entire marketing plan kind of went down the toilet, I imagine.
Yes, definitely. And there was additional thing because after 2017, there were so many scam projects with people, with teams from Russia and Ukraine that a lot of the people were like hiding their names that they have like developers from Russia because it was basically a synonym to scam at that point. And we were okay with that because we were from Latvia, but a lot of like people have Russian names in our team. So it also hit us like several times as well. So 2018 was a harsh time to launch a Dapp.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, I feel you. Like the pain is on both sides. But you've spoken about the team a little bit there a couple of times. Like, so you guys are based. Where are you based, Vlad? Sorry.
So we have two offices. The major one is in Riga. The headquarters, like majority of team is sitting there, around like 17 people. And we have a smaller office in St. Petersburg. There are like 2-3 people working here, and some people that work with us from time to time, like freelancers, and they're basically global.
Oh, who's the core team then, Vlad? Who would you count as the sort of core team, and what are their competencies, and kind of what backgrounds have they got? What background are you from, actually, Vlad? Prior to all of this blockchain adventure, what were you doing?
I was doing games for 17 years at the moment. I started out as a modder for games like Sims. Then I decided to do like different skins for different games. Then there was like a game called Neverwinter Nights, and I made a shard for it, like a free server to play, and I held it for like 6 years. It was one of the popular shards in CIS. And then I went to work at a gaming studio as a game designer. They were doing browser games, massive multiplayer. And afterwards, I went to mail.ru's social network called Odnoklassniki. They were having around 70 million monthly active users, and they had several gaming platforms there. So there I was a game producer and a platform owner. So I managed 2 of those platforms, helped people to onboard, to increase their revenue. And well, basically the majority of my life I was like somehow dealing with games. And when CryptoKitties came out, I understood that basically it's a new market being born, and I decided to risk it. So we jumped in with the team and created a blockchain game that is still kicking and developing.
That's really cool, man. I mean, it's great to. I think it's great for the audience to hear that you've had such a long-standing history in games and gaming, and that's your background, especially as modding and things like that. Like starting at the ground level where you're checking games for sort of errors and things. It's a great skill to have when you're trying to do your own project, obviously. But how do you feel about the current state of play, Vlad? Coming from gaming, you obviously made a decision quite a while ago to switch over from traditional into this kind of NFT-based gaming. Like, what's your feelings about the situation at the moment, the way that the conversation is going with investments from people like Ubisoft and things like this? What's your feelings about this? Like, I've got mine.
From my perspective, it's happening as I outlined, like in late 2018. So the market is moving exactly this way. So it's a good stage. We're getting more traction as a part of an industry. The market is getting consolidated. I think it is a little bit sort of apart from the general crypto market right now. And if something like would hit, for example, DeFi, it will impact the gaming market, but not as it would like in November 2019. So
Yes.
that is good. We're getting like more substantial growth that is very peculiar to the gaming industry. Well, gaming/finance. Then I like that. My perspective here is that the gaming industry itself doesn't have any like real problems that we need to solve and that we're sort of solving with blockchain games. I think it's not true. It's basically a separate industry that came from finance first and then connected with the gaming. And the fact that it came from finance and the audience here is like very keen on making money, it's a good stuff. And people are basically creating a sub-industry within two industries. And this sub-industry is solving their own problems. So I hear that majority of people who are dealing like, they call it like real games, even if they do like native mobile games, they don't like that people are like playing games that don't have gameplay or have bad graphics, but you can earn money in them and not playing their great indie games. So I don't view it as a problem. I think that we're in a good spot and there's going to be another bear market soon because right now, as it was in 2017, the market is getting overhyped. There are a lot of like bad actors coming here just to get some money, try to sort of make a noise that they're doing something and then leave when the market will be bad. But through such cycles, companies mature, technology matures, the market becomes less marginal and more sustainable. And it is very important to just survive those because you gain experience, you gain vision, and at the moment, if you're like doing something, you will definitely succeed. So I look at it this way. I think that this year is going to be like sort of bullish for the first quarter, maybe the second quarter, and then I don't know, maybe it's going to be the start of the bear market, maybe not. But the good thing is to be able to get like as much money in your bank as you can in order to have like as longer runway as possible. And just build and deliver. Hopefully we'll be able to do that and we'll be around during the next bull cycle as well.
Yeah, nice. That's really good advice for any developers out there who are working on projects. I think you've touched on some really important points, like getting your head down during the during bear market cycles is an important process. Having the funds in order to keep working is also an important process. And I think just overall, Vlad, like I couldn't agree more with what you're saying. It is two separate industries. And I often say this, that the use of the word gaming, I think, is being a bit messed with here, perhaps. That when you say the word game or gaming, you really do think of your blockbuster GTA type games. Most people do, but the way you've described it there, that people are not happy that people are able to play a sort of game and make money from that, but it hasn't got great graphics. Like, it's okay. It's not the same. And I think that's really important. And I hope we're going to see more.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Like, I hope we see more of that this year. That people actually, and I think it is just down to the, using certain words. Games, gaming. It's like, you expect there's an expectancy there when you use that word. So with the entrance of words,
I have something like interesting to add because we've been doing it like you and us since basically the inception, and right now because the market is overhyped and traditional gaming media writes a lot about NFTs, writes a lot about tokens and blockchain games. Of course, like there are guys that just understand that it's a very marginal market. You can make a lot of money here, and they don't know how to create games, but they TIC people who do. So whom do they go to? Of course, they go to traditional gaming industries that say that they know how to do it, but they don't know, like at all, completely. And when they try to do it, they get some information like here and there, and of course they need to PR themselves properly. So they go to different podcasts, they go to conferences and participate in fireside chats, and usually they're just talking so much shit. It's very funny to see there when they explain what's important, what's not important. They don't even understand why people, like the audience, is playing blockchain games, like the basic stuff. And this is what is happening right now. There are so many experts that don't know anything that we are here for a bear cycle soon for sure. Because these people, they just can't build anything if they don't understand what they're doing.
I mean, I've seen you shut people down live on stage, Vlad. So I know that, like, when you don't suffer these fools well, man. Like when people start talking rubbish, you generally point that out, and I love that because you couldn't be more right. And somebody also said to me a while ago, like, if anyone ever says to you they're an expert in blockchain gaming or even blockchain, and they're lying, because this industry is not old enough to be an expert. It's still developing.
Exactly.
And that's a really strong point, I think, isn't it? Because many people will be like, yeah, you know, I've been working in this industry for 6 years. I'm like, whoa, six whole years? Like, you must know everything then, surely. Like, even though every morning we wake up and it's changing. So, yeah, it's an
exactly. And for example, like the DeFi hype went completely amiss. If we're speaking about like us. We have joined it like at the very, very end, and a lot of the stuff that developed for like 5-6 months, it was like so rapid that we had to like spend 3-4 days just diving in and trying to understand how all these things work. And if you're building something, you have this like heads up display. You see only things that you're building, and there's so much things happening around you that it's like really, really hard to be an expert. You basically either do stuff and try to make money and then share your experience, or you just need to monitor the market, which is like developing at an enormous pace. It's pretty hard to be an expert right now.
Exactly, man. Like, I'm glad we agree on that point. I've got a guy who wants to ask a question. I'm just gonna bring him up to the stage. Give me 1 second. Sure. I've got another question here. So we've spoken about like the kind of trials, the tribulations of Blockchain Cuties over this length of time. Let's put that in a box and call it history, right? So let's talk about Blockchain Cuties a bit more. Like, there might be people in the audience who don't have a clue what they are. We've got Blockchain Cuties universe, and we've got the NFTs part of it. Let's start with the NFTs, the actual Cuties. Like, what are they, Vlad? Like, talk to us about them a little bit.
So they're cute little animals that have a genome written to blockchain, and this genome is split into several parts, and it defines how the cutie looks like, which species it is, and different gene combinations provide different stats that are like derived from it. So each cutie has a utility that is both breeding-wise good or bad, or battle-wise good or bad. And basically, to put it in very simple terms, it's an NFT with a very robust utility that is used by majority of the in-game mechanics, and that is always expanded. And the expansion comes not in a way that we're like putting new stuff into existing NFTs. Sometimes we do that. But in majority of ways, we just like build on top of how we read those different gene combinations and derive stuff out of that. So if to compare like us with, I don't know, CryptoPunks, then CryptoPunks have only like rarity and visuals. And people know like how rare this part is, how rare this part is. And in Blockchain Cuties, you have all that. Plus, you have an ability to create a unique-looking cutie if you happen to find the correct gene sequence. And some are already open, some are closed, and we're adding more as the game like goes further and further. So, and the gene itself is sort of closed to everybody except the owner. So you can create a monopoly of breeding unique-looking NFTs. And additionally, it has battle stats, it has different item slots, it can participate in different in-game mechanics, including ones that are based on age. For example, we are sort of planning to introduce a location where only newer cuties can go to, or like very old one, the OGs from 2018 can go to. So we are playing on a lot of different utilities that are based basically on the metadata that is stored in the NFT itself. And the most important thing that some people who were like following us since 2019 at least, we are slowly building sort of a second game, a layer on top of existing Blockchain Cuties economy called Wars of Cutieland. And there you will be able to combine armies out of NFTs. So for example, if you have like 100 cuties, you will be able to conscript them, provide them specific gear, or use the one that is already on them, and create, say, short swordsman out of them. And then they will be backed into like a meta NFT, and they're going to be like battles in a Unity game, a strategy game, where like armies of NFTs led by a very specific general NFT will be fighting against another general and his armies.
Nice. How can we expect the kind of artwork to look in that game, Vlad? Is it something that you're kind of taking to another level, or what was the plan with that?
We did show like the first footage in May last year, and I think the next drop is going to be either like at the end of this month, but probably somewhere in March, probably somewhere in middle of March. We will show what we have. So the general thing is that it's going to be a strategy game similar to like Age of Empires. You will go through the ages and you will start in Bronze Age. So right now we almost have all the Bronze Age created, including like units and animations and buildings. There's going to be like a tech tree where you go, and we will show that. The UI is rubbish at the moment because we're not concentrating on user interface, but the in-game, the mechanics, the calculations, that is being like done and tested. And right now we spend a lot of time on doing like internal battles within team members, trying to create a better look and feel of how the battle goes, how much time like the armies need to take in order to go from like one cell to another. Basically doing the look and feel, because it's very important for strategy games, so that the battle isn't too slow or too fast. And I think we'll be ready to show something in the middle of March.
Very cool. So we should get ready to see some mock-ups and some other things in March. So what about the game? Let's talk about the game economy a little bit. So you're breeding NFT-based cuties, which you can then battle against each other, right? You can test their skills, yes, and then you can level them up as well. So how is the in-game economy working regarding the NFTs? Can you level them up and sell them? Can players trade them? Do you have an in-house marketplace? How does that all work? How are people able to gain income from Blockchain Cuties?
Okay, so in terms of economy, I think we have one of the most complex on the market. So you get a cutie or two cuties, you can breed them. Based on their genome, another cutie appears. And it's always a little bit weaker in terms of cooldowns than father and mother. There are special type of items in the game, consumables, that can lift those cooldowns and make them like better. There are additional potions that can increase the generation of a cutie or make him noble. So a lot of different stats that can increase the value of a cutie. Then there are 6 blockchains, and breeding prices on different chains also differ. For example, it's totally not worth it to breed on Ethereum right now because it's very expensive, but it's like it's worth it to breed on like EOS or on Heko. Then each cutie has experience bar and can be leveled up at this time to 10th level. Then there are special types of cuties, tributes, that can be bred to 11th level, and unique cuties can be bred to 12th level. And those like level difference provide different bonuses in combat as well. Additionally, each cutie has 5 item slots where you can place different items. And we have around, I think, 1,400 different item types that you can put on cuties. And many of them are sets. We have sets of 2 items, of 3, of 4, and of 5. So there are different metas on how you can like put different sets, and each set has level requirement and each location has level requirements. So there are, I think, more than like 12 different strategies how you can approach different locations in which gear and so on. And additionally, because we wanted to appeal to both like people who have a lot of money and people who are like thinner on the wallet, so we decided to split the stats into two groups. We have ones that is purely elemental, so we have 5 elements in the game, and those elements are defined from the Cutie genome. So if you happen to breed a very like high elemental Cutie on particular blockchain, then he is strong even without items, because if he goes to a location which is of the same element that he's strong in, then he performs well there. And then we have unique Cuties, which are sold for big amounts of money, and they usually don't have great elemental stats, but they have basic stats on a very high levels, and they perform good everywhere. So thus we have it that people who don't want to spend like a lot of money, they go very deep into breeding. They create very specific gene sequence that produce strong elemental Cuties. And those that want to wreck everybody in all the locations, they just have less Cuties, but more expensive ones, and they send it everywhere.
Oh, it's almost it's almost like if you
additional stuff.
If you've got money, if it's almost a little bit like if you've got the money, then you probably don't have the time. So we have a solution for you. And if you haven't got the money, you probably do have the time.
Yeah,
so a solution.
The classical solution.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And additional, we have items that like some items can be enchanted towards better damage, better defense. So some items can be enchanted up to +5, some can't be. And additionally, we have seasonal events that usually like go for 3 months, and then there is like a month or 2 months of interseasonal regular gameplay. And when the season starts, a new sort of seasonal bubble economy creates, because each new seasonal item has a seasonal bonus, and all seasonal locations take that seasonal bonus as like bonus to damage or defense. So it is a lot easier and a lot more profitable to create, craft, or find seasonal items during season. And after the season is over, then the basic stats of items are left in the game as they are, but the seasonal bonus just goes away. So similar to what Path of Exile does, but on a different scale. And it works a lot because each season is a great opportunity to participate in play to earn. And majority of people like jump into Blockchain Cuties during seasons. And the next one, season 7, is probably going to start this Thursday or Friday. So we are like in the final polishing stage.
Very cool. So what's the kind of let me phrase this correctly. So some people debate about these kind of play to earn games, and they say it's pay to earn games. I think from what I've heard here, you've got differing levels, but what's the kind of cost of entry, Vlad? Like if I want to jump in and start breeding, what's my floor price?
So if you don't want to move as fast as you can and you're okay to just go with the normal pace, I think $10-20 will be enough. If you want to like jump in straight and compete with like people in season, for example, then it's more of $200. But it's like a lot cheaper than majority of the games on the market. You don't have to make like very big investments. And if we're talking about season, then the usual return on investment happens like for different players, of course, differently, because the space is very important. But let's say from like 2 weeks to 2 months, depending on your like on the amount of money you decided to invest and on the amount of attention you pay to the game. Because if you just invest money and you don't learn it, and it's a pretty hard game, then of course you will probably just like give this money away to other players who are more like dexterous and attentive than you want to be.
That's pretty cool though, like a $20 entry or up to 200. And as you rightly say, that is a lot less than other projects out there. If we think about things like Axie, I mean, their prices were at that level, but they've definitely shot up over time as more people have come to jump in. I think personally, people are on the hunt for projects such as yours now, and that those projects are becoming somewhat saturated a little bit. But given that you're operating across 6 blockchains, Vlad, which chain are you finding the most traction on? Obviously, we know about Ethereum gas fees. Playing games on Ethereum overall would just be a bit silly. So can you divulge, can you tell us where the sort of bulk of your activity is?
Well, right now the bulk is heading towards Heko, so there is like a transition period because it is cheaper to play on Heko, cheaper to breed cuties. We've changed the breeding formula in December, and right now the prices are also based to the cutie population on particular blockchain. So each time new blockchain is released, it has very few cuties there, and it is like super profitable to breed there. If we are speaking like in a bigger sort of viewport, then Tron was the most popular because it was very cheap in 2018 and 2019.
Yeah.
Afterwards, they did like 5 different votes where people decided to increase the fees. But we, from our side, are sort of co-investing into the fees that players pay on Tron for pretty big amount of Tron. I don't remember the exact number, but for majority of people, if they have something staked, it's almost free to play. Nice. We got a lot of traction on EOS last year because it was very cheap to breed there. And I think we had like a population of cuties increased by 100,000 cuties like within 2 months or something. People were like breeding like crazy, and we decided that we need to change the formula because otherwise like the surplus of cuties would hurt the economy. So we did change it. And right now, cheapest to play is Hiko, so active players are moving there. But I would say that our audience is mostly blockchain agnostic at this point because all the top players have all like supported blockchain accounts. They can play everywhere.
Well, it's beneficial to play across multiple chains for them as well, isn't it? From what you're describing, they can breed new cuties there. They can actually
yes, of course. Yeah, exactly. And they can make use of the opportunities, of rising opportunities. So if something like, well, you remember My Crypto Heroes, they were like top 1 game on Ethereum for like a year and a half. And then the Ethereum prices like went up and majority of their audience ceased to play because it was too expensive. And it took them like a while to create a Polygon version and they weren't able to recover from that afterwards. So a lot of our audience sort of understand the concept of why that happened, and they're always ready. If like some blockchain becomes too expensive, they just try to move on another one because like you don't have to breed on a specific blockchain to continue playing blockchain cuties. When cuties go to adventures, it's an off-chain mechanic. Even the expensive Ethereum cuties that right now cost like $70 to breed can still go to adventures. They can still drink some potions and can bring you value in terms of items. So we don't punish people who like chose one blockchain and then it became very expensive to play there and like, hey, sorry, you have to move to another one. No. The assets that you have, they continue to drive some profit to you in terms of items. But if you want to expand, you need to be keen and like look at what's happening on the market and try to use the cheapest solutions, the ones that bring most value.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think just to touch on the Ethereum gas fee thing, because some people perhaps they hear it a lot. Oh, why is it problematic on Ethereum? So just to outline that for anyone who doesn't understand. So when you're playing a blockchain game such as Blockchain Cuties, there'll be many actions. So you might have to theoretically, you open a door, you open a loot box, you have a conversation with another player. These are all transactions. And on Ethereum, these transactions cost gas. Gas prices are peaking at the moment at like $30-40. So imagine you got to complete five things in Blockchain Cuties. You're going to pay 5 gas fees. That's why games are shifting. That's why we saw Axie move over to Ronin and things like that. So just to outline that, But also important, Vlad, is that there's a lot of off-chain data to blockchain cuties. I've realised that perhaps DappRadar is not tracking actually. That a lot of what's happening on blockchain cuties is off-chain.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
So we're not actually reflecting the true usage there because DappRadar tracks on-chain activity, obviously, but you've compartmentalized slightly. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. I think it's quite an important point actually. That we're not.
Yeah, it is, and we were speaking with Skirmantus back in 2019, I believe, that at some point you could create like a service because well, it looks like for a year or two at least, people won't move completely on chain because it's still like is expensive.
Yeah.
But you can basically allow to share your like Google Analytics data with you, so you can take the real numbers from there, like SimilarWeb does, for example.
Yeah.
If you're a website owner, you can provide your data to them, and they will like show the real data, not the approximated one. But yeah. It is as it is, and we're still like growing monthly, not as X Infinity did, but I think it's just not our time. Maybe next year, because we're still preparing like the economical basis that I spoke at the very beginning of. We need to make sure that it is very sustainable, and after we're sure, we will try to like do a lot of user acquisition stuff.
Nice. I really like your approach, Vlad, because it's very much like the way that you say maybe this year is not our year and it's next year. I do feel like there are projects out there, there's others that were alongside you at the time of also, like, people are not talking about them so much, but they're going to have their moment again. I really do think, I really agree with you there that these good projects are going to get found eventually. And the fact that you guys are working diligently in the background trying to make this thing bulletproof, it should show a lot when it finally happens, I think. So we've spoken about the past, we've spoken about what happened, we've spoken about the tech, we've spoken about what they do. Let's quickly, well, not quickly, we've got 10 minutes left. Let's talk about what's in store for Blockchain Cuties. So you've got one of the most OG NFT collections, you've got Blockchain Cuties Universe. What's going on for Blockchain Cuties in 2022, Vlad? Like, what's shaping up, man?
Well, apart from the Wars of Cutiland that I already talked, we understood that you have to have a lot of the tools that people in crypto are familiar with in your game, if you have like market or like several markets like we do, and those tools are basically present in exchanges. So we are going like big time into those tools. So we already created an order book for items, and we've sped up our trade like 6 times. There aren't like automatically executed order books yet, but we will make them so like in the coming months. And we will introduce a lot of things that are present on bigger exchanges, and even some unique solutions like 3D order books where you could do like the automatic arbitrage of items and maybe NFTs through several blockchains that are probably going to be tied to our token as well. So this is what we're doing. A lot of tools that would make like the management of your assets and trade as easy as possible. Because if we look at the audience of crypto games right now, there are mostly like 2 types of people playing here. So the ones that were playing back in 2018, those are just regular crypto people, males mostly, 25-45. The geo is very distributed. They know how to trade. They are very keen on making profits. They don't care about gameplay, graphics. They just like want to have this feeling that they're making money and that they're like smarter than somebody, and they have this positive feedback loop that they're making money because of that. Yep. And the other, like the younger one, that came a lot during the NFT hype, those people that jumped into different collections like Bake or others, made a lot of money, and they're like trying out different stuff. But like the majority of movers are still in that older audience, and we need to create like those tailored tools that they're okay to use, that they understand how they work. And I think we will see a lot of growth pace increase when we introduce those. And again, this is like what sort of diversifies us from the rest. Yeah. So we're on 6 blockchains. We have to solve like those compatibility and arbitrage issues that other games just don't have. So we need to do that, and we're doing that.
Nice. So embracing the GameFi side of things rather than kind of believing that people want nice graphics. I think it's great. Like you literally nailed it. I've got a question from the audience, Vlad. It's a pretty cool question, so I'm just going to throw it out at you. He's asked, is Mr. Stealth, will you look to collaborate with any famous games or other projects in the space this year?
Well, we are always collaborating with different companies, but in terms of regular games, we would love to, but it is usually a lot harder if you do it like with somebody who is not native to crypto, because it allows not allows it like requires a lot of approvals, a lot of legal stuff.
Yeah.
If they're like if they want to give us their brand that we can work with, so we have to write a lot of papers. Every asset, everything that we do would have to go through the approval stage of the like trademark owner and so on and so on. So we tried already, and unfortunately, at the final stage, we understood, what not we, but they understood that they can only work with us on the basis of this brand only in China, and we have like global audience, and we don't have tools to basically isolate China from the rest of the game, so it didn't work out. But we're looking forward to. We can work with some games that are not very popular, but like our friend studios, people that we like know from the industry, and probably we will. But I'm thinking we will have more collaborations in terms of like crypto space this year. Some other GameFi projects, maybe even some sort of derivative interoperability. If we like create token based on their token that they have in their game, and if they have it, they can receive something in Blockchain Cuties. But time will show.
Yeah, time will show with that. I think it's a good point that you make. I remember when I interviewed the guy from VV, and VV have obviously gone out and got themselves a lot of intellectual property in regards to Marvel and other link-ups, but he was saying that those took a long time, and those deals were things that were in the pipeline for almost 6 months to a year before they became reality. And everyone who reads the article is like, "Oh yeah, amazing, this has happened," but they don't understand the sort of inner workings of commercial.
Yeah, and usually year is like
fast.
6 months is super fast. Year is very fast as well. It can take a lot more than that.
That's it, man, because you have to understand. Yeah, it's a different world, and like you said, I like again the fact that you would rather work with people who get what you're trying to do instantly, rather than having to spend months convincing people of what your project's all about. They walk in and they get it straight away. But you also mentioned tokens there a little bit, and it leads me to probably my last question was about your token, the BCUG token. So can you tell us a bit more about that, Vlad? Because it came out quite a while ago, right? It was at the beginning of last year where you launched all of this. Is that right?
Yeah, actually it was 11 months ago, exactly on the 15th of March.
Really?
Yeah, so we introduced the utility of this token to the game, but I would say to maybe 25% of the planned utility. But unfortunately, we received a lot of market pressure, and we went to different exchanges. We are still trying to secure like better tier 1 exchanges as we speak, but it takes time, because everything in crypto raised up in prices this year, like by a lot. There is something that is like that we can afford, and something that is just not reasonable to afford. So what we plan for BCUG is to make it sort of Blood of Blockchain Cuties universe existing game, not the Wars of Cutieland, and to tie it more and more to different mechanics. And as I've told you like a few minutes ago, one of the upcoming trading mechanics, like the 3D order books and so on, are at some point going to go through BCUG in order to commence. And it's definitely not going to be the BCUG on Ethereum. So right now we already introduced it to Hako chain and is bridgeable to Ethereum. But the vision is that at some point BCUG will be available to all the chains that we support. And right now the biggest sort of bottleneck here is Neo blockchain, because we are still supporting the previous Neo 2 version, which is more of like Bitcoin format than the regular EVM-based blockchains, and we have to completely rewrite the whole integration, and it will take us time, maybe 3 months, maybe 4 months. After that is done, we will try to roll out more and more utility in terms that BCUG is sort of interoperable, bridgeable on all the chains that is supported by the game, and then more utility will come. So what we have in plans for like next 3 months is that we're introducing the Thirst governance, like how to say it, event. It's going to be about the next season. So our each season is having a plot, and this plot is continuous into the game. And usually we are like the guys behind the plot. We think about it and we make the whole story. But there's going to be a big pivotal event during this season, and players will have to vote which path they will choose. And each path will bring some profit and some bad things. So, and we will make it in a way that a portion of the good stuff that is going to come is going to be disclosed, and a portion of bad stuff that is going to come is also going to be disclosed, but not everything. So people will have to do both guess and weighted decision, and they have to sort of communicate collectively which way they would choose. And afterwards, we will try to make like governance events like a regular thing.
Nice.
And probably like there are going to be 2 or 3 more events till the summer.
Nice.
Those are what we have laid out for the next few months.
Wow. I mean, it sounds chocked, like it's sounding really good. I just had a question, actually. It's really weird as you were talking about how the community will become more involved with the creation of the ideas around the game side of things. And the question is, are the game ideas given by a specific person, or are they done via teamwork with the community? And I think you've just nailed that one, that it's something that's coming to Blockchain Cuties in the future where community will get to participate.
Well, yes, but we are already community-driven project, like basically from the get-go, and a lot of the ideas that we have are like they're coming from the community. So maybe not in the true form that community decided at the very beginning, but we also need to lay it out to like the business terms that we have, and we have like a backlog of ideas that community proposes. So we write all of them down and we usually discuss them. And a lot of features are basically, I think around 20% are definitely coming from the community.
Nice.
And not just coming, they're like introduced to the game. And for the last, I think, 3 months, we have like a lot of refactoring and basically quality of life updates. And here we're also always like listening to community. We have a developer that is like super fast. He always like is present in different chats, and he just like speaks with the community and fixes stuff usually the way how they ask it.
Amazing. I mean, that's exactly what you want. And another question we've just had pop in, but you've also answered this as well, but let's just go through it again because it's a clear answer. So he's asking, Amir is asking, what is your core strategy? Is it games that take the gamer a lot of time during the day, or is it games that are played quickly that do not require much of a person's time? And I think we kind of touched on that.
Well, yeah, but this is, we touched about how it works right now and how we plan to do it like in the near future. But the general idea here is to have this sort of universal approach. We need to have so much stuff to do in the game that players can specialize. If they have like less time, but they can like pay somebody to pay for them using their account, or they have more money so they can like do a burst, say on weekends, we need to be able to offer that. Or if a player has like less money but he's more loyal and he has a lot of friends, he's able to like bring them into the game and commit a lot of time, we also need to be able to provide him with such an option. And right now we don't have a lot of that implemented, but this is where we're going, because what we want to do is basically mimic real life in terms of how people can like make money and play and live in the game. We already have more than 14 different methods of how people can make money, and some are even like off market to us. So there are people who like do the research of genome or specific schemes how to level up fast, and they sell Excel tables to one another of how to do it properly. So we're not getting anything out of it, but it's like around the game meta. And this is how life works. So the more options you have, the better like meta, the more sustainable the economy is.
Nice. I think it's like how, when you said there, this is how life works. I often say that life is a game, and that the gamification of things, it just makes logical sense to me. Just on a different point that people talk about, why would people want to gamify finance? And I'm like, why wouldn't you want to gamify things? It makes it so much more interesting. But
Exactly.
just to sum up, Vlad, like, thank you so much for your time, man. Like, we're at the end of the session, but I've got a question for you, and it's more of a sort of question that I just want to put to you. So how do you feel about the hype around NFTs kind of popping up years after you guys saw the potential? Is it a bit annoying, or is it just, this is great, this just leads us to where we want to go? But you don't have to tell me too much. It's just a question I wanted to put.
Yeah. Well,
like, I want to know, like, does it annoy you a little bit that?
Sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't like annoy me a little bit. It makes me like feel regret that we weren't ready. We knew it would come. We knew it would come like last year. We believed it would come like in 2020. But because of the of life, of things that are happening, we weren't able to basically be super ready for that. So we took a portion of that on ourselves. The game increased in popularity, more people came, but we didn't fly up as high as we wanted to. But there's nothing bad about it. It's basically our mistakes, our mismanagement, and we just need to basically be a man about it and be better next time. But I'm happy that it's happening, because there are very few industries that allow you to grow with the market. So a lot of people grew up not because they're geniuses, but because they were in the right place in the right time. And it's a great market to be in. It's very harsh when it's bad. So it's very expensive. The cost of mistake is high, but the upside is almost unlimited. So I'm happy with what's happening. I just want to be sure that we're ready for the next wave.
Great answer, Vlad. Great answer. No, it's kind of what I thought, man. Like, you can't hold too many regrets, but at the same time, I think it's great for you guys to keep pushing forward, and that motivation is clearly still there with the project and the team. So it's amazing to hear. All right, man. We've come to the end of the session. Thank you so much, Vlad. It's been great to chat with you, and I think the audience can appreciate that Vladimir is not just a man who works on one single project here. He's a guy that understands this space all too well and has been working in it for quite a long time. So thank you for your input, man. It's really great to hear, and I hope people learned something today. Do you want to wrap up and just thank everybody?
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was amazing. Actually, I think it's one of the first sort of big podcasts, because I think at peak time we had more than 200 people listening, and it's pretty important for us, because despite the fact that industry is growing, the majority of niche conferences where people speak about what's really happening, they don't gather a lot of people. Only when people speak about hype, and I'm glad that everybody here was listening to our story, and I'm really happy that you hosted me today. Thanks, guys.
Absolute pleasure, man. Like I always say, it's really great to meet people. Like, we've met before, but everyone here hasn't listened to you speak, and I think it's amazing for people to understand who is behind a project. It's easy to just judge something on its face value and say, oh, crypto, just look at it, look at the marketing spiel, and that's it, make your summary. But when you actually get to hear from the people behind projects, you get to understand what the motivations are. So I think it's great to do that. So yeah, thanks again, Vlad. It's been really cool, man. So, and all of you great people, thank you for attending and asking your questions. Thank you very much. I hope you've learned something. If you want to ask more questions, head over to you've got Discord and Twitter, right, Vlad? Do you want to shout them out quick? Just get people heading over there if they've got any more questions.
Sure. The Discord is just Blockchain Cuties Universe. You just search for it and you will find it. And Twitter is @BlockchainQT. without the S.
Nice. So those guys are ready to take your questions and you can find out everything about the project over there. So that's it from us this week. Thank you very much, guys. This Thursday, so in another day, we've got here on Discord, 4 p.m. UTC, we've got our regular Dapp Market Movers show with Boris and Pedro. And it might be myself as well, but I've not been confirmed yet, so we'll see how it goes. They're going to be digging into this month's BGA blockchain game report. So they're going to dive in, unveil all the latest trends, and see where we're going as we get into 2022. So that's it from me. That's it from Vlad. Thank you very much again, Vlad. And yeah, I will see y'all next week.
Okay, thanks, guys. Have a great day or evening. Goodbye.
Take it easy.